I think we're live now, so we can go ahead and start. Good morning, ladies. So it's great to see you all. You're all my great friends and colleagues. I am so happy that after a long break, we're seeing each other virtually for now, but I'm hoping that we'll get to see each other soon. Thanks to University of Economics, we are here to have a great discussion about doctoral life, doctoral pathway. But before that, I would like to give a little bit information why we're here today and what is this amazing conversation is dedicated to. And thank to UNEC management and UNEC team for organizing such a great conference. This is the third year in a row that they are doing an amazing job bringing distinguished speakers and scholars around the world to talk about very important issues. This year, it's particularly very dear to my heart because it's dedicated to a great poet, Nizami Ganjavi, which is a place. He is connected to a place that I was born and raised. I'm originally from Ganja. So when I heard that there is an opportunity to join and share some thoughts and experiences, I jumped into this opportunity with a heartbeat. Thank you again for being here. I will start with introducing myself and our amazing guests today. I am Sevinç Mehmedova. I am originally from Azerbaijan, Ganja. I was born and raised in Ganja, and then I moved to the US to get my undergraduate, master's, and then I'm working on my doctoral degree now. I work for George Washington University as a program director, but I'm also trying to finish my dissertation, which is dedicated to early childhood education. On my screen, I see my great friend, Anshu. Anshu, so great to see you here. Anshu is also my classmate. We entered into the doctoral program at the same year. Anshu is a doctoral candidate at the George Washington University Graduate School of Education and Human Development. She is also the research assistant to one of our amazing professors, Doctoral. And then I see my another great friend, Aytekin Hüseyinli, which is dedicating her whole life to the lives of children, making sure that everyone gets equitable access to the resources and gets fairly treated. So thank you so much for doing that, Aytekin. Aytekin is a PhD candidate and adjunct faculty at the Brown School of Social Work and Public Health at the Washington University. Aytekin, people usually think that Washington University is in Washington, D.C., but you are at the other side of the United States. So it's very early morning for you there. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yeah.
And another great friend, which is very close to me in Washington, D.C., Chilanay Seferli, is also Azerbaijani, born and raised in Azerbaijan. And she's also the doctoral candidate at George Washington University, Graduate School of Education and Human Development. And she's a wonderful research assistant too, I would say, to many professors at GW. So thank you. And she's a very active Azerbaijani student that does a lot of events and a lot of contribution to the development of the community in DC area. So thank you so much, Chilanay, for joining us today. Ladies, I'm very excited to start our conversation because it's a women power. So I don't want to be very discriminative, but I think our session is going to be the most wonderful one because each of you have done so much throughout your doctoral pathway. As you know, the doctoral pathway takes a couple of years. It's not as short and as easy, I would say, as the master's degree. It requires a lot of commitment. It requires a lot of time, and it requires a lot of reading and writing and researching. So before starting to this journey, I'm sure you had to sit and think about it and then decide, did you really want to do this? or do you really want to take this pathway because it's going to take you longer than sometimes expected? So I will start with a very simple question, asking to each of you, comment maybe for 5 minutes. Why did you decide to get PhD or doctoral degree? What does it mean for you? Are you doing it? And let's just be honest here. If you're getting it for the name to be called Dr. Hüseyinli, which is absolutely fine. But then I want you to actually go deeper, a little bit deeper, and give me maybe a couple of points and reasons why you decided that you wanted to take this pathway, you wanted to get your doctoral degree. What are you dedicating your dissertation to? Like, what is your academic goal? And you can just describe some personal stories, or you can describe your academic plans, or whatever you feel comfortable. But let's take 5 minutes each of us and share our experiences. I'll start with Anshu because she's the first person on my screen. Anshu, please.
Thank you, Sevinch, for that wonderful background. And I would like to thank Azerbaijan State University of Economics for this wonderful opportunity. It's an extreme pleasure to be sharing my experience with all the participants who are here with us today. And also a big hello to the other panelists who are present here. So just to answer the question that you've asked me, I would say for me to be a doctoral student is a sense of it fills me with a sense of responsibility, and a part of that responsibility comes because of the kind of support that I've received at a personal front from my family. It also means giving back to my colleagues as well as the community through the kind of work that I do, supporting the colleagues who are coming into the program, supporting them in their doctoral or their proposal journey. And so going back to what my family roots would look like, so as a first generation female doctoral student, I think it fills me with a sense of achievement. And the reason why I wanted to pursue a doctoral degree was because of the love that I have for the subject. And I think that is definitely what motivated me to pursue this particular degree. And I also see myself in academia after my first 5 or 6 years into the program. I think that was the other reason why I wanted to get a doctorate. Along with all of that, that sense of achievement, I think there's a lot of responsibility, and a lot of this sense of with that responsibility, I think there also comes a sense of pressure, and a lot of the time, this pressure is often self-imposed on myself, where there's a lot of balancing between my professional life, my academic life, and my personal life. So a lot of the pressure comes from making sure that I complete my coursework on time. That I make it through my comprehensive exams, and then I have a good working research proposal. I think that is extremely important. And also, a lot of the pressure comes from the fact that I don't really have anybody in my family who has an educational background. So for me, it would be starting from beginning, finding and making those connections, which would help me grow as I'm growing in this particular program. I think that again is a sense of pressure that I feel. Without wanting to sound very, very pessimistic, I would say it fills me with a sense of excitement, because it's a journey that I've taken for myself, and it's up to me to determine what I make of this particular journey that I've treaded onto. And so I think it gives me a sense of independence where I can determine the kind of road that I want to take in the future for myself. So I'll stop right here and I'll pass it on to the other members in the panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anshu. And I absolutely agree with you that sometimes you start the journey and you don't really know what's expecting you there. Sometimes the excitement goes away like this in maybe like in a month after you realize that it's actually a lot of work, but it's all about commitment, right? You said that you truly believed, you thought that this is something that you have to do for your community, for your society. So you did jump into this opportunity because you wanted to use your skills and knowledge to make sure that you're transferring the same knowledge and skills to the next generation or the generation that you're working with. So I absolutely agree with you that it's a long pathway. You hope to finish in 4 years. Sometimes it goes to 8 years. Hopefully, that's not going to be the case in our situation. But let's hope that we're going to be able to finish soon. Thank you, Anshu. It's great to hear your story. I'll move to Aytekin. You're next on my screen. Why don't you tell us why did you decide to do doctoral degree? Because I know you have a very extensive background in research, and you have went to a lot of universities, and you have done a lot of work prior to starting your doctoral journey. So what made you focus specifically on this issue? I know that you're very passionate about protecting children, making sure that they have a good life, good future. Tell us more about that, Aytekin.
Thank you very much, Sevinch. I'm so glad that, like you can see, that my whole work is around children. So I finished, after finishing my master's degree, I went back, I did my master's degree at the same university where I am right now. So I went back to Azerbaijan and started working with Save the Children, my first job. And I was here, when I was here, actually, I was doing my master's in different field. It was social economic development and research of economic problems and social problems. But when I was here, I was amazed in the United States, which I'm right now. So I amazed the amount of services and policies for children and families, and I was thinking to myself, why don't we have them, especially in prevention of violence, maltreatment, and a lot of family support centers, a lot of parenting courses, a lot of. So I was always like amazed by that. When I went back home, I never thought that I would work in the field of child well-being or child rights. Somehow happened, I ended up in Save the Children, and I was doing evaluation and research there as my major, right? But being an organization which is all about children, here and there you heard about child rights, child development, child well-being. Somehow I started switched from being research evaluation expert to trainer, program coordinator. So my last job in Azerbaijan was head of the international organization where we working with the government of Azerbaijan to establish nationwide foster care, small group home, family support, and respite care to end the life of the boarding schools, orphanages, which are by research is not good for development of children, very detrimental from many aspects. Children growing up from actual research from our region shows that 13% of children after institution commit suicide because they are not well raised to cope with real life. Most of these institutions are closed, boarding schools are closed. They don't have access to real life. So when they are in real life, they cannot cope. So there was a huge push by UNICEF in 2000 that end the era of this institution and replace them with more child-friendly, child-oriented services like foster care and the ones small group homes. So my last work was on that, and we succeeded to establish small group home, but other services we were not able to do for several subjective and objective reasons. And I was thinking about it, why it's not happening, why we are not because there is a money, there is a approval by head of the country. I mean, whatever we put in front of him, he approves everything, and we are not a poor country compared to neighboring countries. But why is reform is not happening? In Georgia, they have already closed down all institutions, but Azerbaijan, its process is very slow. And with this question, I came to PhD program, and my essay actually was about that. We have to write that purpose statement of purpose. It was around the question that I was asking why the reforms sometimes are not happening in certain countries, which is my topic right now. So I figured out while in Azerbaijan, I won't be able to find answer to this question. So I need to do something more. With this question, I came to PhD program. I progressed, and it's been, as Anshus said, I wanted to do it within short time, but it never happens, you know. So it depends. Like there was a couple of reasons. As you said, Sevinch, I'm very passionate about this subject, and I wanted to really find out real reasons. So another reason, we usually in PhD programs, we have options: either use secondary data, someone's data, you use it, you work around your research thesis, or you collect your original data. So I chose the pathway, second pathway. I've collected data. My research happened in 6 countries. So I spent a year kind of traveling these countries, collecting my data, interviewing people, and then pandemic happened. So all these things make you your plan, like you want to go, you come here, you think that your plan is here is linear, A to C, but there is up and down. So this is how it happens. Right now I'm in my 7th year. In addition, being a PhD student, I've been also teaching since 2016, co-teaching or independently teaching. So that's why my title goes as a student and also candidate and also adjunct faculty.
Thank you, Aytekin. Amazing story. And look, it's a long way. I have never met any doctoral student that would say, "Oh, I finished it in 3 years or 4 years." Yes. It's always whining and saying that, "Oh my gosh, it takes so long." I don't think that I have heard anyone saying that it's hard, because it's not about being it hard, but it's just long, and it requires a lot of. The volume is big. You're always reading and writing. I mean, at one point you become expert on your field, right? You want to know what you're talking about. That's, if your dissertation is dedicated to the child development, then you better know child development really well, so you can jump in and talk about it. I have a professor who always tells me that, Sevinch, by the time you're done, you should be able to join a cocktail party and then very comfortably talk about your dissertation topic in 2 minutes. And I say, oh my God, I don't know if I can do that in 2 minutes, but I will try. But I think we have common interests. I am also dedicating my dissertation to the children, their development. Mine is more like the implementation side. I'll talk about it later, but yeah, I get your dedication. I know that your heart beats with the child development. So that's very dear to our heart. Thank you for all of your hard work, especially focusing on Azerbaijan. This is our motherland, and our minds and hearts are always there. I'm gonna move to our next speaker, Chilanay, my dear friend, and I have to say, I love seeing Chilanay on campus. She always brings me coffee. She always takes me to happy hours, and then she gets me out of the office just to make sure that I get the rest that I needed. Chilanay, I know that you're also focusing on Azerbaijan, and you're also writing your dissertation about Azerbaijan. And the most importantly, you're talking about women in leadership positions. And I know you have a bright mind, and I know that you are so motivated and encouraged about giving something to the policymakers that they can think about in their next moves. So why don't you tell us about your idea of why did you come to the doctoral program? I know that you were a master's student, graduate student, and then you decided to continue your pathway as if studying wasn't enough for you. So tell us more about your work and why are you doing this doctoral degree?
Thank you so much, Sevinch, for the opportunity and for your nice words. You know, all the feelings are mutual. I am honored to have you in my life as a friend that I can always go and ask for advice. We work in different settings together. It's my honor. I would like to thank all the organizers of this conference, as well as you, for inviting us and for giving us an opportunity to speak up and share our stories, because I think it's very important. I have been inspired by a lot of people, and hopefully we can be inspiration to a lot of people who are pursuing to the similar path like us. By no means we can talk about academic success. And when Sevinch told me about the topic, I'm like, it's ironic. Am I really good at managing my life, but with the PhD work? But it's a learning process. That's one thing I want to let you know. Like, we can share our great stories, but when we are given this opportunity, we always emphasize the good sides. We don't talk about struggles, but we all have struggles. So don't think that we have an ideal life. Just think about everybody has struggles. But it reminds me a word that my professor has said. He said, doing PhD is 10% intelligence, but 90% persistence and commitment. That's so true. You have to be committed in this path and be persistent no matter what happens along the way, because life happens. Just to give you a very brief idea about my background, as Sevinch said, I don't want to go into details, but I did my master's at GW, Human Resource Development, and I was going to go back home, but I got an opportunity to work in one of the organizations here as HR analyst. And I always believe the importance of role models in our life. I had a manager there who's like, somehow saw the light in me, and he said, you have to go continue your academic life, PhD. That's how I applied for PhD. And currently my program is called Human and Organizational Learning. Despite 6 years, I haven't been able to explain it to my parents. They're like, when people ask us what our daughter studies, what we are going to say, I just say HR. But basically what human resource development advocate for is that there are employees everywhere, they are all adults, and there is leadership everywhere. The goal is to humanize those workplaces where people can thrive and be successful and not to be threatened. That's just the general idea. But I believe the reason why I applied for a PhD, like my colleague said, I believe the importance of passion. We have to have a passion. Otherwise, being persistent is hard. If you're doing it just to have a doctor next to your last name, it is hard. It's not going to maintain the whole process. I'm not saying it is bad. I respect everybody's rationals, but I think you have to have a bigger passion. My passion was being born in a family where everybody has dedicated their life to education. My grandpa, my mom being teachers. I was like, I need to dedicate my life to education to have an impact on somebody's life. It's the deep passion that I have. And especially, I feel like sometimes my professor says, you're an individual, you are representing just yourself. But I believe all of us who are living abroad, besides ourselves, we are also representing our country. I have a deep passion to give back to the society where I was born and raised and have always been supported. That's why, despite the challenges, I decided to dedicate my topic to women leadership in Azerbaijan. When I say challenge, I'm sure all my colleagues understand me, because I have to interview people in Azerbaijani, then translate to English, and then do the transcription, all those kind of things. It adds one additional year to your dissertation. But then I was thinking, if I am choosing an easy path just to get it done and not giving back anything to my society, then I am not being I'm not following my passion. That's why now I am focused on studying the women leadership in Azerbaijan, because Azerbaijan is a country before many developed countries gave the right to vote to women in 1918, when the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic was established. So it's in our genes, it's in our history, and we have to follow this path. And with very humble dissertation, I have dedicated myself to showing the value of women in leadership and how they can work in collaboration with their male colleagues in the organizations and can better contribute to the society where everybody's voice is heard. Thank you, Sevinch.
Great. Thank you, Chilanai. I think it's important. It's important because we always talk about the resources. And when we think about the resources, we always think about the materialistic resources. But the human resources, the human capital of any organization is the most critical and the most important aspect, which doesn't happen in one day. You build up years. Sometimes it takes 10 years, sometimes it takes 15 years. And we have had these conversations before. And if you don't have strong human resources, you don't have strong human capital in your organization or in your country, it's really hard to achieve something. Imagine that you're putting all of your efforts, you're putting a lot of money, millions of dollars, and you don't really have people who can take that initiative and implement that. My dissertation is about the implementation. I'm talking about the early childhood education, why some policies fail, and I'm specifically focusing on the implementation part. But it's important that sometimes people, we talk about policies, we talk about money, we talk about the financing, some policies, but we never talk about the little tweaks that sometimes make policies harder, make policy implementation harder. I think all four of us are talking about the reforms, policies, and we're trying to achieve equitable results and making sure that everyone, especially kids, have access to high quality education. Thank you, ladies. And Chilanai brought us to a really good point about the challenges. And I think it looks from outside, it always looks beautiful. You're in the doctoral pathway. People keep congratulating you. Oh, congratulations, you're doing so much. This is a hard work. But there are so many challenges. And I'm sure if we sit and over a cup of tea and if we discuss it, will take days and days to talk about it. But let's choose maybe two challenges that was hard, that's still hard for you. It's hard. It can be life, it can be your personal life, your academic life. It can be your neighbor that is not giving you enough quiet time to write your dissertation. But why don't you guys give me two challenges that you think, oh man, I didn't really think about that. I didn't really think about that, when I started my doctoral journey. And then, of course, we'll talk about the success. So the whole goal is to talk about the formula of the success. But let's start with the challenges. Anshu, what are your two top challenges that really make you so mad?
Well, I completely agree with you, Sevinch, there that there are a lot of challenges, and we could spend an entire day and would still run short of the time that would be given to us. But the two challenges that sort of stick out for me is, first of all, being flexible in my schedule. With trying to manage my professional, personal, and academic life, and having a mind. I think this takes a lot of mental preparation. It's to be open to the fact that you might have different deadlines for your academic life and then for your professional life, and having that ability to be flexible and changing. And okay, so this is what I need to concentrate on. I need to get this work out first and then concentrate on my academics. I think that's been a challenge for me. The second set of challenge that I've had is and this is because I'm in the research writing phase now. Once I'm working on a particular chapter, it's hard for me to sort of understand where exactly is it that I lie when I'm working on that particular chapter, is understanding how much of a milestone have I achieved when I'm working on a particular chapter. I think that's the second challenge that I've faced as being in the research writing phase now. So, and I'm sure there's a lot more. So I'm going to just stick to these two, and I'll pass it on to the other speakers.
I agree with you, Ashu. I think being flexible is the hardest thing that I'm also struggling, especially when you have, work and academic responsibilities as a candidate. And then if you add family to that stress, it's a great stress formula. So right there, it's just staring at you. But yes, being flexible and meeting deadlines is one of the things that I'm sure all of the doctoral candidates have probably 4 or 5 calendars in front of their desks. You keep writing and highlighting, saying that I have to get this on first and this on second. So I am on you. I'm with you on that. Thank you, Anshu. What about you, Aytekin? What are your two big challenges?
As a doctoral student, the big challenge is just finding time for your own dissertation. I don't know if it is the case with everyone. So you are teaching, you are doing teaching assistantship, then you need to sleep, work out, have some social life, and it's always hard to you have to apply to this conference, that paper, I know. In addition to dissertation in the United States, doctoral programs are designed in a way that we have to publish. We have to publish in peer-reviewed journals, and every school, every program has their own requirement. For instance, in our school, expectation is that until we finish, we have 10 papers published. This is too much for grad students. It doesn't need to be necessarily solo, like only me, but collaborative papers. And it's huge pressure, huge pressure. In addition, there is a certain amount of conferences you need to present your present relevant to, and write book chapters, write reviews, this are all in addition. This are happening in addition to our dissertation, and in our program, we also had to teach their compulsory 3 teaching credit, 3 classes we had to teach. It is compulsory part of the program, and 3 research assistantships we had to do. So, and then our program ends, it is scholarship at 4 years, but this is my 7th year. So you need to support yourself somehow. You need to work somewhere. So in doing all this, and at the end of the day, you're thinking, okay, when I'm going to find time for my dissertation, when I'm going to write my dissertation, that's a huge challenge for me. And I talked to my friends who are ahead of me a couple of years, who are successfully working at professors at university right now. I'm like, I talked to them. I did, how did you manage? How did you survive? Because it's not only about dissertation. You need to do that, you need to also support yourself, and work and all this kind of stuff. They said that's all the ways to just block a couple of months for that, just purely for your dissertation. This is one tip I learned. I'm trying to do that. It's hard to do, but it is first challenge is to find a time, and then here it comes dedication to time management, being very structured, disciplined, waking up at certain time in the morning, blocking 3 hours per day, not checking phones, not doing anything, maybe not even eating, just having your cup of coffee, sitting in front of the computer, writing 3 hours, having these 3 hours writing, only dissertation writing time. We have seminars at our school, we writing support series. I attended all of them. Then dissertation support group, not helping unless you decide here. So it's just having that, all of them saying that put aside it 3 times per day, just dissertation writing time, nothing blocks, nothing comes, no phone calls, nothing, nobody bothers you. And finding that time per day is really challenging. You probably understand me. That's first challenge, finding time for your dissertation, for your PhD thesis, although you are doing PhD. So very paradoxical, right? And second challenge, there are some things you can't control in life, like we had a war last year. So I was planning to finish, I came back during the summer, so I came back and was planning to finish in fall of the 2020, but during that 2 months we were always stressed, we couldn't even sleep. I'm not talking about the writing dissertation. After 2 months, you're when we're over, we're just digesting what just happened. It's like another 2 months on that, so whole semester is gone like that. So there are some other things that I think for that we need a personal strengths, personal skills that to balance life events, because we can't control life. There's a lot of things that are going to happen. Today's war, tomorrow something. So for that, we need to also, in addition to developing ourselves professionally, develop ourselves personal as well, to deal with live events. There's I'm working on it as well, working on it as well. And another challenge, how to keep yourself all together throughout the journey, so.
not to get off the track. I absolutely agree. Yeah, I think that's actually a very common challenge for all of us to actually find time to write your own dissertation. And sometimes you find yourself helping someone else write their dissertation, and then you say, writing my dissertation too. That's challenging because it shows how much you're dedicated, it shows how much you're passionate about research. And when we say research, sometimes some girls get very excited about shoes, and some girls get really excited about bags. And I think our excitement is the research. So when we hear about research, oh my God, there is a raw data. I can use that for my research. So I think that's a very common challenge I take in. And the second one is, unfortunately, there are things that you don't plan, and they just come unplanned. The war happened in Azerbaijan, and then the COVID. We lost a lot of, I lost both of my parents, and during my doctoral pathway, and it's been a hard journey. How do you get up and continue? How do you get up and continue walking towards your goal? You lose interest sometimes mentally, and it's hard. When you know that there are people in trouble, back home, how do you sit in front of computer and write 2 chapters? It's really hard. And, for some people it's COVID, for some people it's, war, for some people it's many reasons. There are many reasons that, you don't really plan when you start your doctoral journey. But you so rightly said so that, it requires strengths. How do you put together, pull all of your efforts together and then continue? Say, okay, all this happened to me. This is terrible. This is awful. This broke my wings. This broke my legs. But how do I get up and continue? Because there is a whole society waiting for you to contribute, right? So I know it's been hard, Aytekin, but I'm very proud of you. They have been doing so much, being a good representative of Azerbaijan, especially on the other side of the United States.
Thank you.
What about you, Chilanay? Thank you. What about you, Chilanay? I know you have a big list of challenges, but give me 2.
Yes, and it's always hard to go after 3 wonderful ladies because you already cover a lot of important things. I just want to piggyback on what has been noted about the time. I think at least my reason, when I think about what's the reason for that, why I keep procrastinating my dissertation, is because after a comprehensive examination, it is more a self-paced. We have some deadlines, but they are not like very tight deadlines. It's more self-paced process. And when you have other deadlines from work, from your personal life, you keep doing them. And while you're doing that, you open your eyes and like one more semester is done and I haven't wrote a sentence in my dissertation. So I think my biggest challenge is I'm wearing different hats, maybe not as many as you do, but doing the work and then switching your mind to you are a doctoral candidate, then switching your mind, you're a teaching assistant, and then you have to have some time for your family. It's really hard. I believe in the importance of establishing the boundaries, that you dedicate certain time to certain things. Otherwise, we get lost. In doctoral program, we have this nonstop guilt that, okay, I'm having fun, but I have my dissertation waiting for me. You need to have fun. Otherwise, we'll be collapsed, we'll be exhausted, and mental health is a big thing. If we don't have time for this to calm down, then it is really hard. And I have experienced that myself, as Aytekin said, especially with the war. I'm like, I want to give up. And my professor kept reminding, what was your passion for doing this dissertation? They are losing their lives there for the independence, liberation of your lands. You are dedicating your life here to represent the voice of all Azerbaijanis. So we need to always think different ways of achieving the purpose, not just one way, and it will keep us moving. And second challenge I want to say, and I believe it's the challenge of many of us, is we have this, I don't know why, this desire for perfection. It's never enough. You can read a lot of articles. Literature is not going to end. You need to know when to stop. And when this process is going on and on and on, you can't finish. My professor always reminds me saying that best dissertation is done dissertation. you can change the whole world with your dissertation. Finish it, get your credentials, then write books, attend conferences, do a lot of things to deliver those ideas. But you can't get everything done in one dissertation. I think that's why we have to make sure to have a balance between the perfectionism and good enough. And when sometimes good enough is our secret for finishing our dissertation.
I agree. I think, setting the real expectations is one of the most important process in the doctoral journey. You can't change the world, unfortunately, right? We wanted to, but we can't. It's really hard. That's there where you put realistic expectations when you start your doctoral journey and say, okay, that's why professors keep saying, narrow it down. I think I have heard this word so many times. It's on my ear all the time. I agree that it's hard. Look, I know that it's really, again, war was something that distracted us for a couple of months, and it's still distracting us because our minds and our hearts are back in Azerbaijan, and we have relatives and all of the people that are fighting for the liberation of our lands, right? We're fighting for something that is ours. So we can't understand why this is, why the international world is so quiet about it. Like why there are still people dying defending our country. So it's hard. It's definitely a distraction.
Why map of minds are not provided?
Yes. I wake up every morning reading the news and just seeing what's happening in the border and etc. So it is very distracting. It's you think about all the people, all the Azerbaijanis that you're Azerbaijani, your heart is beating with Azerbaijan. So it's hard. But one of the things that actually distracts me is the guilt that you actually talked about, Chelana. For me, where do you put yourself? You have this doctoral journey, you believe in something, right? You believe that you're going to write this dissertation and this is going to be your life. You will, if you write about early childhood education, then you dedicate your life for that, right? You don't change your idea in the middle of the dissertation or in the middle of the journey. You understand that this is important, but at the same time, you have work, full responsibilities. You have to earn money, right? Especially in the United States, you have to bring money to the family to support your husband and so to make sure that you're giving your children the best life. And then there is family piece, right? You're a new family, you're trying to build up, you're trying to make sure that you don't lose that piece in your life. And for me personally, it's sometimes hard to manage. And we'll talk about balancing all of this family and academic life. But this has been hard, especially for the first couple of years. And then the second important piece, of course, the focus, because I'm a practitioner. I don't like sitting and writing a lot. So I'm a doer. I like to go and do things. For me, it's really hard to sit 4 hours without talking to anyone. And I'm an extrovert. I like talking. I'm very social. So I'll take the phone and call my friends. But sitting 3 hours, 4 hours without talking to someone, as Aytekin said, and I get up every hour to get my tea. And every time I have to make tea because I'm Azerbaijani, it's a special process. You wait 30 minutes and then, you have to put somewhere at that, etc. So for me, it's a distraction sometimes. So I will get up and sit and get up and sit. And then I have to go pick up the kids and then they come home. You're right. You have to respond to emails. So lots of competing responsibilities. Managing that. But there is also the opportunity part that we have to talk about. You have to agree with me that this pathway has a lot of opportunities, a lot of good opportunities that you can turn that to your future job. You can turn that to your future professional goal, or you can turn that to an opportunity for your country. So let's talk a little bit about opportunities. We have about 17 minutes. So let's take maybe each of us 2 minutes to look at our process, the whole process. What do you see as an opportunity in this journey, and how do you use that for yourself? So it can be that meeting new people, working with professors, being in the higher education system. So what is that you see as an opportunity in this process? Okay, this time I'm going to go the backwards. Let's start with Cholanay.
Sure. I think, as you truly mentioned, there are a lot of opportunities. It's difficult to say one opportunity because it's such a subjective thing for all of us. I know that I can say generally in doctoral program, once you graduate, you can either dedicate yourself to be in academia or you can be a scholar practitioner. I think one thing Sevinç and I have in common is we see ourselves more as scholar practitioner. And I think in this case, the biggest opportunity is that you are in both fields. You learn in academia and you bring it, apply in a workplace. It's not always the straightforward process, but you are being like a bridge between academia and practice. And that's what we always talk, translating theory into practice. And that's I think one benefit that we bring to the organization. Another thing I want to quickly mention is that don't think that just PhD gives you a great life or satisfaction or like career. I think it also transforms us as individuals. At least I can speak for myself that while doing PhD, I learned a lot of skills about critical thinking, questioning things, trying to understand the rationale behind things, and understanding different perspectives, being flexible, to be open to different perspectives. And sometimes when I look back how I was before the doctoral program, and I know it's an ongoing process, I'm not perfect stage at the moment, but I understand that I never say statements like strong statements. I always think of different perspectives. I'm always very careful with people when I'm talking because I'm not imposing my perspectives on them, because I know that there are different views and all I need to do is to respect different views and have this communication. Only then we can analyze problems from different angles and try to come up with a solution that will benefit different audiences in different ways.
Absolutely agree, Chana. I think this is actually the first priority. I mean, the first opportunity that all doctoral students would say, that this is looking at some issues from a different angle, from a different perspective. And this is a skill that you develop throughout the process. It doesn't happen the first week of your doctoral studies. You take a class and you say, hey, I don't agree with this. I think that this policy should be implemented in 50 states, right? Or like 40 states. It's a process. You actually learn to argue and, not have fight, but like professionally argue, saying that, okay, well, the research says that this. And asking good questions is one of the highest quality of taking, this is the most important part in the doctoral journey. So I look at it as an opportunity, because you don't really in a daily life go around and ask people questions like, hey, why do you think this policy is important? But when you say that you're a doctoral student, you can actually rationalize your question and say that I think because of this, because of that, or like I want to know about this question. So I think we have a good excuse being a doctoral candidate and asking lots of questions. So I think it's a process. It makes you to ask good questions. You become a good question asker. And this is, again, a process. It doesn't happen the first day. I take in you. What do you think? What's this opportunity?
For me, of course, it was like sometime. First of all, I always tell that you are paid to give knowledge. In PhD program, my program happened that we got scholarship for a couple of years, and it's also was kind of another challenge thrown to you if you can finish within 4 years or not. But I always say that how like amazing, like you're getting paid to learn something. That's first thing. I don't look at the PhD as a doctoral, always some people complain. I'm like thinking, why are you doing it then? Just quit, do other things, because no one is forcing you to do that, right? So kind of looking at it like someone is torturing to them. But my perspective is that how beautiful, I'm doing something which I'm right. I really like research. I really like teaching. So, and especially you are given here a chance to research whatever you want. I'm so grateful. At our school, my advisor is always supportive. Any idea, if it is crazy, it's like supportive, So like we have this freedom to choose whatever we want and try, like do research whatever we want. And sometimes I reflect myself. Okay, I'm doing it for a couple of years. What I've gained, and I realize, oh my gosh, I gained a lot right now. So like in addition to learning a lot about the subject topic, like mine is child well-being, and factors in preventing to achieve full child well-being in societies. My topic is that, but then at the same time, methodologically, I have been advanced so much, I never liked mathematics at school. I never liked anything. We don't have statistics in our schools or in universities, but right now I'm teaching statistics, I'm teaching research methods, I'm teaching evaluation methods, like this is thanks to the training program in my PhD, taking all these courses and doing our research, like learning by doing, with our surrounded by these scholars, I would say, famous scholar in our schools, in rigorous training in research methods. I can sit here and talk for days and days what I've gained, in terms of knowledge, knowledge and skills. So which I've never thought myself teaching statistics, math for me was like, what? Great. Although my mom's side is all mathematicians, my both parents are engineers. Like I didn't like math when I was growing up, but now like love it. It's just, it's not all about the mathematics, statistics, but still, there's some formulas and everything. But this is a huge advantage, I'm grateful I'm doing it, I'm grateful learning, as you said, how to write academic papers we've never done before. When I started, as you said, we have this challenge as international student, writing a structured paper, where to start, where to end, so learning that structure, how to write, how to talk to academicians through papers, like this is our language, how to present your research, how to present your findings. And in addition, our school, we are trained as applied researchers, which means that our research needs to be applied to improve human or development of society. It's not pure research, it's not theoretical. We are pushed to the applied research that it has some impact on people, either on people or on societies. So in top of that, like you are learning all these rigorous research skills, statistics skills, and then you are developing something which is going to help someone. That's also powerful. That's also empowering. That's also inspiring, that you, as coming from public health school, social work, social policy perspective, we are doing something for someone. We are not doing just research just for, but it needs to improve someone's life, impact some issue, So that's also very important, that encouraging, empowering. At the end of the day, you're thinking, so I'm doing it for this, for this change. And this is all. And to learn and to train how to do it right, how to do it powerful. These are things that I'm learning, I'm getting from this PhD program or study.
I agree. I think, thinking about researching about something that nobody has done before is the greatest joy. You think about first you say, oh my gosh, I have to find the research questions and then the topic, there are some painful processes there. But at the same time, you think about, like, I am thinking and doing research about something that no one has ever done before. And think about it. This is the impact of it. Like what you're bringing to this world, another idea, you're bringing another argument about something very, very important. And I think that's the best feeling ever, to just know that you're using your knowledge for something that it will be used for future policies. Anshu, I'll come to you. And then after I finish with, I'll pose the last question, and I will ask you guys respond to me in 45 seconds, as they ask in the dissertation defenses. Anshu, what do you see as an opportunity in this journey?
Well, first of all, I think I would agree with all of the members here, with whatever points you have stated. I completely agree that the doctoral program has a lot of opportunities built in itself. For me, one of the biggest opportunities I see is the kind of research I pursue now. I see that particular conversation remaining with me as I move out of the program. And so being in this particular program, I see this is as a very good opening to latch on to a research area which is very close to my heart. I'm currently working on the intersectionality of poverty, caste, and gender, and it's on India, on a specific state in India. And so that's a topic that's very close to my heart, where I'm working with disadvantaged groups back in my country. And so latching onto that topic and then continuing with that conversation, which is so recent, I think that this program really helped me do that. And the other opportunity is during this process and thanks to the way the whole the academic program is organized, where we get the 3 months of summer break, where if for a person like me, I look at it as an opportunity to look for internships with organizations that are doing work in the areas that I'm interested in. And therefore it gives me this flexibility of working with different organizations and seeing which particular organization's way of thinking and working aligns with the way I fit best with, and then to look at that as a future prospect. So that's another opportunity of being a part of the doctoral program.
Ladies, you're wonderful. I'm so proud for all of you. You're bringing up so many great points and so many great discussion, but this, we can take one of it and then have a whole day conversation about it. And I want you to know that you guys are great, because it takes a lot of efforts. It takes a lot of strengths, and it takes a lot of time, actually. I miss going out with my friends, but hey, we're doing something good for the society, maybe after a couple of years. All right, we have 5 minutes before we wrap up, but my final question, I know we talked about challenges, we talked about opportunities, and we talked about a lot, we talked about the process, learning a lot, and God, I agree with you. We learned so much, this is lots of information, lots of knowledge. So how do we balance it, guys? How do we balance this academic life, professional life, and then, we have family lives. So what is, take maybe 45 seconds and tell me from your own personal experience, how do you balance all of this craziness? Let's go with you, Anshu. I'll put you on the spot.
Okay, so I think that's a very good question, and it's a tough question to answer. The way I go about balancing my academic, personal, and professional life is realizing, first off, that there is only that much that I can do. So there will be a lot of opportunities that I would have loved to apply to. I cannot hold on to all of them. So knowing what my priorities are, which I know will keep changing. So understanding that, first of all, I think is extremely crucial. The second way I go about balancing is to never forget the fact that this is an opportunity. A lot of the forthcoming, the future students would love to be, to come on board and to get into a doctoral program and pursue their dreams and their research. So take this as a sort of opportunity that I, as an individual, am getting to respect that. And despite the fact that there are difficulties, acknowledge it and know that we are not alone. We have our colleagues, we have our friends who are in the same boat. Keep talking to them. Don't hesitate to reach out for help. I think that is that's helped me a lot. And so, that is how I go about balancing the different hats that I wear.
Great. Yes, great tip. I take in you're next.
I will try to be I totally agree with Anshu that she pointed out a couple of things that you need to do it in order to be balanced. Otherwise, you will lose it. I know a couple of people like the quitting program because of not doing these things. And in the early stages of my journey in doctoral program, I heard a very good saying from one of my I wouldn't say professor, but someone I liked around the school. He said that. Don't try to catch every train, but remember there will be a train every minute. So, I mean, you cannot catch every train, but there will be train every minute. So it stuck with me saying that, oh my gosh, that's good. So this is the first thing, that you cannot be everywhere. You need to prioritize what is a priority for you right now, which is our dissertation and our health. Let's say I PhD program in our health. We never need to forget that. Second, never compare yourself to others. So everyone has their own pace, everyone has their own strengths, everyone has their own passion, everyone has their own choices. So that's very important as well, that when you compare, people are posting, you know, on the social media, you see someone posting every day, I published here, published there, I, invited to this job talk, that. So like, you never know what's happening behind the doors, first of all. And so never, and everyone is different, never comparing myself, like just having, realizing that I have my own pace, my own passion, my own interest. And third, like being a student, like enjoying the process. Like I've been here, I realized, like I'm a student for first time as a PhD student, probably last time in my life. So I'm gonna attend all events on campus, which is interested to me, like lectures. We have a lot of prominent people are coming to the campus, that you have the problem same, even not in my area, but that's important, like famous people. I went to like second debate of Trump and Clinton, for instance, whole day I waited in the line to get in, this kind of events and our campus or something, like being fully student, like enjoying the process itself. And fourth one, like a balancing, of course, our professional life. It is important, but it doesn't define us. We are defined as ourselves first, so we need to take care of our health, mental health. So I tried in the early stages to have weekends, like weekends just for social fun life, and 5 days as for my dissertation and for my work. And I programmed myself that even the Saturdays I can't work, like my brain said that no, get out, something like that. So these are 4 or 5 things I would say you need to learn in the early stages to enjoy the process, to be happy and successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Aytekin. I agree with you. There are so many things that we can use, just to help ourselves keep calm and but personalities like mine, I get excited and I get nervous, and it's hard to manage my feelings sometimes. So it actually takes a lot of strengths and efforts to keep yourself, reminding yourself that it's okay, it's not the end of the world, and you didn't finish the first page, you can finish it tomorrow. But at the same time, staying responsible and making sure that you finish something that you started. So you mentioned that a lot of people leave doctoral programs because you just can't continue anymore, because they wake up one day and say, hey, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore. But luckily for us, we're motivated, we have something in, so we continue doing that. Çilanay, how do you balance all of your? Çilanay is one of the active members of the diaspora in DC, so she's everywhere. I'm curious to know, how do you balance all of academic and professional and personal life?
Yes, so actually, Sevinç, a lot of things have been mentioned. I don't want to repeat, especially for the sake of the time. Yes, I think one of the things that I can't claim that I have learned, but sometimes you need to learn how to say no. Even though you say, okay, I'll do this, this is good for my resume, this is good for this is good for this. But if you commit yourself to something that you'll burn yourself to do that, or you won't be able to do it effectively, it will backlash and it's not going to be effective. So learning your limits and how to say no is very important. The second thing is that I mentioned the boundaries already. I don't want to repeat it, but I think we can talk, like Sevinç may be very productive writing at her house, like having one design space for her. I can be very productive and I am going to the coffee shop, even though there's a lot of noise around. I see people working and it keeps me motivated to work. We can give you a lot of tips, but you need to test different things and build self-awareness about what works best for you. There is no one size fits all. You need to find out what works best for you. Are you effective when you're alone? Are you effective when you are working with people? You need to find that out. And the only way to find that out is by testing different things that you hear from people. The last thing I want to finish with is always be willing to ask for help. And to be honest, this is something I learned in US, not that I didn't learn back home, but I saw it more and more. And sometimes my mentor saying me, thank you for letting me help you. I was so surprised by this statement. He said, people will not help you if you don't ask for it. Don't think that you have to be super effective. Don't feel the need to show yourself as very successful. Sometimes you can be vulnerable, and you need to have that support group that you can rely on and reach out to that and say that today I feel so exhausted, I don't think I'm doing it well, and I'm about to give up. Those are the people who will stop you and who will help you. Like, to speak up, like when you share with people, like we shared here, you know that struggle is common. It's not just you being struggled. There are a lot of people struggling. Just always share with people. And one last thing I want to say is, again, one thing we have in our program, and I love it, always be willing to help people. And they don't have to return that help back to you. You help someone and you ask them to go ahead and help someone else. And it's like karma. Somehow it comes back to you. You are not doing it with the purpose of it coming back to you, but by helping each other, by sharing our stories, by sharing our challenges, I think we can make each other be successful. So that was all.
Thank you, Chilanay. That's awesome. I absolutely agree with you that everyone has to find their own pathway, that, there is no one size fits all. So you can, adapt, you can change, you can find your own plan. It's not, that's why every doctoral student has an advisor, just to make sure that, this is your way, this is what you're going to do, this is your academic plan, this is when you will finish. And also asking questions. I agree with you that this is not something that we grew up with, asking for help. We would always be independent. We would just go study, and then it would be something that we would be hesitant to do. But this is one of the most important things. When you want to balance your professional academic life, you have to understand that you can't be best at everything. So you need to get help either at work, or you need to get help at your academic life, even in your personal life. If you need help, you have to be open about it. Don't be hesitant about it. And I think there's something that we should also, all of us, bringing back all the conversation and thinking that we're all doing the thing that we like. This was our goal. This is what we wanted. And this is what we started this journey knowing that this will be hard. But this is what we wanted, right? We wanted to be a very strong contributor to the development process. So there you are, you're there, you're getting your doctoral degree, you're going to be helping, your community, your society. So my father would always say that if you can do it, then do it. So if we can do it, then we should do it. We shouldn't have second thoughts about should I do it and maybe not. If you really want to do it, you just go out there and then do it. Don't waste your time thinking about it, because especially when you're doing your doctoral degree, because it takes time. It takes time to plan, it takes time to implement, to evaluate, and then, feedback is important, etc. So if you guys can do it, then just go ahead and do it. Don't worry, things will fall at its place. So you should believe in yourself. Belief is the most important part in the doctoral journey. And you should always have Azerbaijani tea next to you when you're writing. If you're a tea drinker like me, then you should have tea next to your computer, next to your book. There you go, Chilanay. I don't have my tea here right now with me, but you should always have your Azerbaijani tea with you all the time. Ladies, thank you so much. I believe it's 9 p.m. in Azerbaijan, and it's 1 p.m. in DC time, and then I believe it's 10 a.m. in Seattle time. So we're joining. Thanks. I sometimes think the only good thing about pandemic is we got to see each other very often, thanks to this conferences, that we don't have to get on the plane and travel. But I am very grateful to have you all in my life as my friends, as my colleagues. And I enjoy talking to each of you every time through Zoom, WhatsApp calls, and even if it is just one sentence saying that how you are doing. And sometimes people don't know the power of that question, how you are doing. For doctoral candidates, it's a big question with big loaded answers. And when you ask question, you know, if someone asks you that question, how are you doing? You're like, oh my gosh, now I have to explain everything. You know, where I'm in the process. But I really appreciate that you took your weekend and you spent this 1 hour and 8 minutes with me and with, you know, my Azerbaijani colleagues, and you shared your experience. And you guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. Keep doing amazing work. We can do a lot of things together. You know, we can work together. We can just remember that whatever you're doing is not just for yourself. You're doing it for the society. And I'm sure you guys know about that. And huge thanks to UNEC, University of Economics, for organizing such a great conference every year. This is the third year they are doing it, and especially dedicating this to amazing and great poet Nizami Ganjavi. He is my favorite, and not just because I'm from Ganja, but because I loved his poems growing up and learning about it. So I'm very honored. I feel very honored that I got to moderate this session, and I hope our friends in Azerbaijan enjoyed this session. So if maybe inshallah next year, if they continue doing the conference, we'll join again. And by that time, maybe we'll be professors or we'll be done. Then you can call us Dr. Hussein Leo. So inshallah, time will show. But thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And I will talk to you individually next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.